Well, I'm doing the remodel of the master bath in this home. The customers have asked me to swap out the hall bath toilet, so I'm going to take you through that process and show you what's involved in doing this.
I'd love to tell you that this is one of those exciting jobs that once you start, you're really going to enjoy it. And when you're done, you'll have this great sense of satisfaction in what you've accomplished. Well, not so much. What will happen is that whatever problem you may have had that led to the need to replace the toilet will now be gone, just like flushing it down the drain. And you'll have a new toilet in place that will be able to handle any new challenges it encounters with another flush of the toilet. The toilet we're installing here advertises that it can handle the flushing of a bucket of golf balls with just one flush. That's pretty impressive, if I do say so myself. Someone working for the toilet manufacturer certainly had to do a lot of research to come up with that very vivid and graphic metric, and I appreciate them for their effort, and I'm sure you do too. So this is what the sewer connection and the original wax ring look like after the toilet has been removed. So I'm scraping up the caulk that is on the floor and getting ready for the new toilet. So we remove the old wax ring, and that's the only thing that's going to come out. This sort of reddish looking metal piece is part of the original plumbing installation, so that stays put. We're not going to do anything with that except clean it up really well, and a new wax ring will fit back in the place of this one when we position the new toilet. One thing to keep in mind is that once the old toilet is gone, there's no water trap that keeps the sewer gases from coming into the bathroom. So we have a direct connection right here to the sewer line. If you're not reinstalling the new toilet right away, you want to make sure you plug this hole up with a tightly rolled up old towel or other plug designed to seal an open sewer line to not only stop the fumes, but also prevent anything else that may be making a home in the sewer lines from paying you a visit in the middle of the night. Let me hit the highlights of how a toilet works before we get to the installation. Though the toilet sits on the floor, it's held in place with two bolts, one on each side of the toilet base. These bolts connect to the orange flange in our case that we were just looking at. A wax ring provides the seal between the toilet itself and the sewer line. Since this setup is a direct connection to the sewer line, there's a need for a built-in water trap in the toilet itself that blocks sewer gases from entering the bathroom. So when the toilet is first installed and water is turned on, this trap fills with water. In addition, the tank fills with fresh water, and when it's time to flush the toilet, the water in the tank floods into the toilet bowl, and that action causes water to rush through the trap and down into the sewer line. Once the water level equalizes again, the toilet bowl and trap maintain a level of water that keeps the trap filled. The only mechanical parts to the toilet are the float and water shutoff that refills the tank so that it's ready for the next flush, the rubber clapper that keeps the water in the tank, and flush lever that releases water from the tank into the toilet bowl. So in this way, the toilet provides a sanitary method to flush and yet still maintain a water barrier between the sewer line gases and the interior of your bathroom.
Here are the rest of the parts that come with the new toilet. There is a seat that they always give you, a brand new toilet seat. It's very cheaply made out of plastic. If comfort is a consideration, you may want to consider buying a nicer seat. The Church brand is one that's real good. They're about $30, $35. Anyway, have a new wax ring that we'll install. A tool for kind of helping put things together. These are our bolts that hold the sewer flange to the toilet and keep the toilet secure on the floor. And some caps that cover these bolts once they're in place. All right, so we want to be able to take these bolts and slide them into these slots parallel with the wall. And we'll use those as our guide to position the toilet when we set it. Now we also have these little nuts that go over the top of these bolts. So these really serve no more purpose than to hold the bolt in place, so when we put the toilet over the top of it, everything stays where it's supposed to stay.
When uncrating the new toilet, if you have a furniture cart like this, it's very handy for moving the new base around. Here you can see the real toilet water trap that's built into the design. I do a test fitting of the toilet before I put the real wax ring on, just to make sure everything is going to line up. Since I'm setting this toilet by myself, doing this test fit helps give me a shot at getting my alignment right before I'm setting the toilet for real. You can also check to see if the toilet is going to sit level on the floor without rocking. If you have any side-to-side or front-to-back movement, that has to be addressed right after you set the toilet permanently in place with the wax ring on. This can be fixed by placing shims underneath those areas to keep the toilet from rocking after installation. If you trim the shims back far enough, they will be covered and held in place with a bead of caulk that seals around the toilet base. Now when it comes to setting the toilet for real, you place the wax ring over the hole in the base of the toilet and gently press it in position so that it will stay on when you flip it over to set the toilet for real. You can see that the holes for the bolts are in line with the hole in the base of the toilet, so there's really nothing left to do after the wax ring is in place except carefully position the toilet over the bolts and gently let it compress the wax ring until it rests on the floor. One thing to remember is that you have one shot at setting the toilet. If you foul that up, you'll need a new wax ring before trying it again. So if you have someone helping you with this part, that is good. It used to be the case that manufacturers provided metal washers and nuts to thread onto the bolts to hold the toilet base in place. These days they replaced that with plastic nuts that you hand tighten down until they are snug against the base of the toilet. Then the caps that cover the bolts are snapped into place on the plastic threaded nut. It's a pretty slick, easy system. In this case, the toilet fits very firmly against the tile, which is a little unusual, so I don't have to do any shimming of this toilet for this installation. Installing the tank is a straightforward process. You need to position this gasket around the hole where the water flushes into the toilet, and then set the tank in place so that the bolts that secure the tank slip through the holes provided for them. A plastic wrench is supplied that allows you to spin the nuts onto the bolts and tighten the tank down on the toilet base. When doing this, you want to alternate between each side as you tighten the bolts. The idea is to tighten to the point that the tank touches the toilet base, but you need to be cautious while doing this. If you over-tighten, you can certainly crack the tank, so be aware not to overstress the porcelain.
This water supply line is a standard one for toilets that's readily available in any of the stores. This product is called Rector Seal. What I do or like to do is just take a little bit of the Rector Seal. It's a pipe thread sealant. I just put a thin layer of it on the edge of the supply. This is the area that will ultimately seal when it's tightened up. I do the same thing for this rubber seal inside the toilet connection part too, just so you have a thin layer of it, so that once this gets compressed, that Rector Seal will help to seal it well. Something like that will often just avoid a potential leak, because this stuff is just such good stuff.
The last thing to do is to snug up all the connections before turning the water back on. It's also a good idea to flush the toilet a number of times, give it a little bit of time to sit, come back, flush it again, just to make sure there's no leaks at the wax ring. And the final step is to run a bead of caulk around the base of the toilet. Not only does that make the final installation look really nice, in my area it's also a plumbing code requirement. A tub and tile caulk with some moisture resistance to it in a bright white color is a great choice to finish off the job. And if you have to use shims on the bottom of the toilet, don't forget to trim them back far enough so that the caulk will cover them and they'll not be seen. Check out other videos on my channel, some listed on the right-hand side of the screen, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch.